Hello, my dear audience. It's good morning, good day, good afternoon, good whatever, depending where you are, because this is a cross-country show, right? Welcome to the East-West Talk Show, hosted by me, myself, Jack Chow, with my beautiful team, handsome team, and I would say number one team on the global earth, that we bring all the information we believe necessary to our audience. That's why we are loved by our audience so much. Today, one of the very important person, my dear friend, Sergeant Cotton, is with me. That makes me excited. I'm not a military person, but I really have a military mind. At least I regulate myself. I never late. I never get late. I get late several times, but I never get late. How about that?
Always got to be early.
Very good, very good. Sir, I would say, sir, I would sir you. Welcome to the show. Please.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, Jack.
It was at this unique event hosted by Congresswoman Grace Napolitano that we had a very nice conversation about this country. When we say this country, we can't avoid talking about who leads the country as the president, right? So for that, we want to put up a show like today to exactly talk about the concerns. It is the concerned citizens' concern towards the United States, our country, home country. Before that, Sergeant, I would like to invite you to give us a little background information, if you please.
I appreciate that, Jack. So I served for 10 years in the California Army National Guard. I've gone overseas to Afghanistan, spent over a year over there. It was a very unique experience, of course. But when I came back here, one of my key concerns, because I've been working with youth as well in my history for the past about 15 years, I wanted to work with youth more and provide them with the framework for mental health. So me and 3 other partners started a company up called Youth Services Consulting Group. And what we do is we travel throughout California and other states, and we contract with schools to provide them with mental health services. A lot of this need arose because there is a shrinking budget with education and educational funds. So they like the contracting piece because when their budget changes from year to year, they can adjust those services. But primarily our goal is to provide with a lot of our schools that are out there the mental health piece, because kids do need a lot of mental health resources for themselves.
I see, all right. I have a little, I call it myself as a unique way of thinking. If you're concerned about a country,
Yes.
you better do your kids first.
Yes.
Right?
They're our future.
Because they are our future. We never know what our, say, next 100 years will be.
Yep.
In the hands of our next generation, posterities, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay. I respect everybody who thinks that way. They call like-minded people. They sometimes get together. Now, for example, today.
Yes.
Right? And the other day at the event, though, to be very frank with you, I was so worried about what I see. I see a crowd that is so divided,
Yes.
if not evenly divided, but divided.
Yes.
Right? And I see everybody at the top of their lung trying to speak something.
Yes.
Right? And this isn't the country that I used to see. Right? I've been here only for 34 years, not very long. You're not even barely 34, right?
Close.
Close. Okay. So, and I'm confused. That's why I say, Sergeant Cotton, come here to talk about it. What do you see that's happening now, please, overall?
I see a big divide between the two groups. Unfortunately, with the way the political system is right now, it has turned into an us versus them. So as opposed to just having a simple disagreement, I can look at you and we can have a debate on specific topics, and then at the end we can go out, we can have a drink, we can have some fun.
That's the traditional way.
Exactly. And you know, back in the 60s, back in the 50s, the 40s, you know, you had your politicians who did have their debates and they did have their disagreements on the Hill.
Yes.
But overall, they still were able to go out and have fun with each other.
Yes, you're right.
But unfortunately, it's become this huge divide between the two parties, where even if you talk to each other, it has to be combative. It's highly combative, as opposed to simply looking at somebody, having that initial disagreement. It becomes personal, and a person's belief system is structured based on their experiences in life. So you can't expect a person to completely agree with you on every topic if they haven't experienced the same experiences that you have. So you need to educate them, and not in a condescending way.
You're right.
It's a simple, hey, this is the way that I feel based on my upbringing, based on all the things that I've experienced throughout my life, and this is why I feel this way. And I'm not personally attacking that person, I'm simply voicing my concern and my opinion.
Exactly. Like in the old way they say, I may not agree with you, but I will fight for your right to speak free.
Very, very, very true.
Right?
That's the way America is. It's freedom. It's freedom
What
of
I'm
speech.
seeing now is that A tries to shut B off, and B vice versa.
Yep.
That's the case. Right? Okay, now you mentioned about the disagreement or divide between two parties.
Yes.
Right? Within the party, though, you see the same thing.
Yes.
Take Republican, for example. You have the establishment, you have the average, you have the extreme or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, so on and on, all this together. I know you're a young man in the political life, not for very long, but you spent your time traveling. You went out this country to fight for our freedom. So what do you see as the reason that caused it, as the factor that causes such a confusion?
I think a lot of the issue stems from what they have now called the alt-right, or now they have the alt-left. And really, all that simply means is you have the extremist, if you will, on both sides of the party. The majority of people are moderate. They have their beliefs, but they're willing to go left and right based on what their personal beliefs are. The problem is you have these extremes that yell and shout, and if I don't agree with you fully, then you're a snowflake. You're a if you're on the right, and I'm looking at the way that you're thinking, and you're kind of looking more on like a moderate term and kind of going, well, we can kind of compromise on these things. Compromise wasn't a bad thing. Compromise isn't a bad thing in the least bit. It's recognizing that other groups' concerns and taking them into account.
Of course, yes.
And now the extremes on both sides of the party are looking at any issue and going, if you bend any way, shape, or form, you're weak. You're not a leader.
My confusion is what causes that?
I think with
what made the change?
You know, it's real tough to say. I think a lot of it has to do with the way that the political system has been fostered throughout the past 20, 30 years. It's pushed people further and further apart. So there is no benefit, if you will, to pandering to the other side of the party. Unfortunately, the moderates in America don't vote as much as the extremes on both sides of the party. So it's kind of that silent majority.
You're right.
So the average person, unfortunately, doesn't vote in America. For America being as free as it is, it's disheartening on how many people do not vote.
Which is not correct.
Yes.
Right. My dear audience, today I really want to touch base. When I say touch base, I mean touch the very base. The very base being what's wrong with us? What's wrong with us that we see this kind of a severe division between people? All right. So with me today is my good friend Sergeant Scott Cotton. Sergeant Cotton has served his part to the country, to anybody who served the country. I salute.
I really appreciate that.
Because they're the one, they went ahead of me, right? Okay, I salute. So let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we continue talking about under circumstances, what do we have, what do we see? So stay with us, please. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the discussion about our country. All right, East-West show. The topic might be heavy, but the friendship is so warm here. I have my good friend Sergeant Cotton here, Philip Cotton. He is the founder and CEO of the Youth Service Consulting Group. Prior to that, he served this country for 10 years altogether.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Glorious 10 years. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing that. And putting together all his experiences and his work involvement so far, we started this discussion by saying that what we see is a big division.
Yes.
The big division represent, I don't know, we don't know what's wrong, but you know, people going against each other rather than agreement.
Yes.
Agree on each other, right? So, the other day at the event, in addition to seeing the audiences, the crowd being so divided,
Very combative. Yes.
And I saw manners, and I saw fears, lots of fear, right? So, how much do you see about the immigration subject today that worries the kids that you serve?
It's become a huge issue. So we've seen anxiety with our kids in the past. Kids are always anxious when they're at school. There's a lot of home issues that do arise, but we've seen a vast uptick in the amount of counseling that we're performing for our youth when it comes to anxiety. So you have a family at home, because we deal with a lot of minority youth. Some of them are undocumented, have undocumented parents that are attending school, that are in the country while they're attending school. And we do have some undocumented students as well too that we work with. We really don't care what their status is. We just want to help any kid possible. And a lot of these children are scared to death that their mother or their father or their sister or their brother or their cousin and somebody in their family is going to be deported at any given time.
Yeah.
So when they go to school, that translates into a lot of defiant behavior, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, suicidal tendencies, suicidal ideations, because kids are very scared.
They're worried. Well, when they come home, their parents could be gone.
Yes, or ICE could be at their front door knocking. You know, they don't know. And unfortunately, since the president started, there's been roughly an over 38% increase in the amount of ICE activity in California alone. So coming from Washington, it's trickling down to affect the citizens of California in a very bad way,
California a little better because we chose to be a harbor state.
Yeah, as they say, a sanctuary state.
Sanctuary state, call it that way. I hate to use that word.
Yeah.
And the city too of LA does take that position.
Yes.
If you take Texas, for example, they are creating bills to make it a criminal not to cooperate with ICE. So, and once again, we're saying that these undocumented, either the parents or the kids, whoever, doesn't matter, it's not something that happens today.
Yes.
Right? It happens over the years. It's accumulation.
Yes.
We need somebody to take care of it. Do you think that the Trump way, the ICE way, will take care of it?
I don't think it'll make any difference, to be honest with you. Reason being is the reasons why these individuals are coming and migrating over to America. They're having a lot of gang violence and issues, cartel issues in their country. So no matter how many times we deport those individuals back to their country, the issue is still going to be there. The reason on why they come here is still in their country. These people aren't coming here. It put me back to listen to the president on TV call immigrants coming to this country rapists and criminals and undesirables.
Yeah.
These people are coming to America for the exact reason that people have come to America throughout all the history of this country.
Yes, you're right.
They want an opportunity for a better life.
Yeah.
And to criminalize that want, need, and desire to come to America, it's against American values. I don't think that if all of these policies that President Trump is coming out with to deport, as he put, the criminals back to the country of origin, it's not doing justice to what the American dream truly is.
No.
And what America truly stands for.
I agree with you, yeah.
And with our broken immigration policy, the fact that it takes anywhere between 5, 10 to 15 years to become a U.S. citizen and to enter the country legally, the amount of money that it costs to enter to become an American citizen and to come to this country legally, it's no wonder that it's a deterrent to go through the process the correct way, as they put it, the correct way. We need to go, I believe we need to go back more to, it shouldn't cost you almost anything to come into this country. If you want to be a part of the American dream, show up, give me your tired, your hungry, your huddled masses.
Yeah, of course.
And come to America.
I raise the lamb.
Seriously.
By the golden door.
Come to this country.
The lady says with her silent lips, remember?
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you for speaking my language.
Appreciate it.
Good. Yeah. So, in other words, you and I both failed to see the United States we came here for.
Yes.
Okay, you were born here, right?
Yes.
Okay, I came here for it.
Yes.
So, we are disappointed.
Very
now,
disappointed.
If I were Donald Trump, I would say amicably, saying that, hey, ladies and gentlemen, you guys left me such a big problem. I don't think I can take care of it overnight, but give me time, I'll do it. All right? But right now, what I'm thinking about is that, okay, you want to seal the border? Go ahead and seal the border. And then let's find a way to deal with it. In addition to send the ICE agents scatter around, everybody knocking on doors. Oh no, that's like what? Like
Gestapo.
Like a band-aids.
Yes.
You got band-aids action, right?
Yes.
So there's no way that can run the country. We can't run the country like that, right?
You know, you have a lot of those on the left that are saying that they want to have immigration reform. So everybody wants immigration reform. It's a matter of how they plan to go about it. That's typically the issue. So the issue of immigration of the country is a big issue on both sides of the spectrum, both sides of political parties. But how we're dealing with it currently right now, I don't believe is going to have a real net benefit to this country, especially the image of this country. So I understand that they want to have a secure border. I completely understand that. Actually, under President Obama, we had a decline over the past 4 years in the amount of immigrants entering the country.
Deported, I heard that they deported the kind of history record of criminals.
Yes.
Right?
Of criminals. We've deported, under President Obama, a higher number than under President Bush and his predecessors, but that's not being talked about on the right. So unfortunately, there's a narrative that goes out that says that the left is weak on immigration. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm more of an independent. But I'm able to look at both sides and see kind of where the BS is. And unfortunately, and even on the left, they kind of curtail their numbers and their talking points to say that there isn't mass immigration to this country. Well, there is mass immigration to this country.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But they're coming here because they want to have a better future. So I think a secure border does make sense, but also reform of the immigration policy to make it easier to come to this country.
If you look into our history, though, you will find out the country is built that way.
Yes.
Am I right?
It's built on the backs of immigrants.
Yeah, on the back of immigrants, even including Chinese Americans.
Chinese Americans, Japanese
the group
Americans.
Of people who were once upon a time excluded.
Yes.
In the law term.
Yes.
Right? And then they say only nation, only race that's been lawfully excluded. Right? Even with them, take the Trans-America Railroad. Yep. Right? Okay. Talking about the gold rush, talking about the land raids. Oh, those were the time when, starting that on, from that point on, the country is built on and on and on and on like this.
And I think that America doesn't do a good job of recognizing its history, and unfortunately some of its darker history. The fact that it seems like every 10, 15, 20 years, we find a new group of people to hate, a new group of people to exclude from this country.
You're right.
So it was the blacks, it was the Irish, it was the Japanese Americans. We put them in internment camps. It was the Chinese Americans. It's the Latino Americans, the Hispanic Americans, the Muslim Americans
who are called the rapists.
Yes. It's absolutely insane. But that goes back to that political system that a lot of politicians, in order to stay in power, they try to scare the constituency into hating a group of people and say, if you vote for me, I'll keep you safe. And it's our founding fathers that talk about that if you use fear as a way to get power, and if you use fear to be controlled and to give away your freedoms, you don't deserve the freedoms that you currently have.
You're right.
And
you come here for the freedom, and you ban to somebody's demagogue.
Yep.
Right. So you don't deserve to be here. You really want to go try something else, right? That's very good. That's a very good point. That's a very fresh point, I would say. My dear audience, today with me is my good friend, Sergeant Philip Cotton. Philip Cotton has done his service to this country for a glorious 10 years. That's a huge credential. I admire everybody who does that part because they went ahead of me. That's why I try so hard to make it up.
I appreciate it, Jack.
For the part I didn't do, right? I came here for the benefit? No. I work for the benefit that I have, something like that. So now, we're talking about this country. We're talking about the fear that has been created ever since Trump time. After all, we are into Trump time only for 5 months already. Only for 5 months. That's it. Not more, not much. And we're still seeing enough bad things. Okay. With Sergeant Cotton, we want to touch base on other issues, such as the border walls, such as the tax cuts, such as healthcare stuff. And we'll do one by one, and we'll give you an overall picture drawn by a nonpartisan. How about that?
Yes.
All right. So stay with us, please. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the show. My lovely fellow Americans, welcome back to this discussion about our country, United States of America. And we love it so much. People die for it because they did a service. And people contribute in every way they can to make the flag of democracy more and more beautiful. Right? So including my friend, Sergeant Cotton, done service for 10 years for this great country. Right? And now he is the founder and CEO of Youth Service Consulting Group. And together, we're talking about something we see not healthy as a country called the United States. Right? It's all because of what? We don't know. We want to blame Trump for it? Trump, and well, I don't know. Not for sure, but we will go step by step. Right? Now, we touched base with ISIS under the instruction, under the Juruchin. They're checking door to doors, school to schools, locking people up, deporting people, okay? And the other side of the story is that they are doing the walls, the border walls.
Yes.
What's your take about the border walls?
So, the one thing that you've heard in the past, and I believe it to always be true, you build a 10-foot wall, I'll buy an 11-foot ladder. So I don't believe that no matter how big the wall is, it's really going to make that much of a difference. I think that there definitely needs to be a deterrent on the border for individuals crossing illegally, but not to the extent of a wall being there. I think that our Border Patrol is doing a great job on what they're currently doing right now. The amount of manpower has been increased over the years. Certain states are actually utilizing their National Guard, not so much as a capture force or something like that. It's mainly to just it's mainly to see who's out there and kind of let the ICE agents know, hey, you have this group of people crossing the border, and so on and so forth. I honestly don't like the idea of having such a horrible immigration policy into this country, because the one thing that immigration policy has done is it's created this black market of people smuggling into this country. And when you have that type of black market, those people don't care about the well-being of the people that are coming over here. So those coyotes will literally bring them over, try to bring them over. If you're a small child, if you're a sick individual, and you can't keep up, you just die in the desert. And then our National Guard forces have found dead bodies scattered about
all the time,
all the time, of people that just couldn't make it because that trek was so arduous. So when the administration talks about these people as murderers and rapists and as non-desirables and get them out of this country, these people have fought tooth and nail to get to this country and risk their lives to come here. I have the privilege of being born in this country, the great privilege of being born in America. You had the privilege of immigrating over to this country as well too. But for an individual that doesn't have those means, but still wants that American dream and willing to trek across that divide and risk their lives and their children's lives to come here, I almost applaud that, because that takes guts to be able to do that, to try something new, to leave everything behind. And I'd rather make it easier for them, because with that type of determination, that's what we want in this country.
Do you remember Mayflower?
Yes.
It's a Mayflower thing. It's the same thing. Only you're talking about newcomers or latecomers versus we're first settlers.
Yes.
It's the only thing like that, right?
Yep.
But as the Mayflower came, the Indians, the local Indians, what did they offer? They kill them or offer them food?
They offer them food. They welcome them into this country. And we're not willing to at least do that same thing with the
That's the
immigrants trying to come
country,
here.
that's how the country started, right? That's how the country was given birth to. Right?
The original settlers would have all died out if it wasn't for the welcoming, if you will, and the hospitality of the indigenous population of this nation.
Yes.
So the fact that we're not willing to at least do the same to the people coming to this country now is crazy.
Yeah. Let's check about the time mark, right? The time point to mark the lines. Okay. Mayflowers, I believe that was 1620, right? And our country was founded in 1776, right? By 1782, we had a Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
Who says the lines that you quoted? Give it to me.
Yeah, give me, you're tired, you're hungry, you're
hungry, huddled masses, right? Huddle for free, breathe free.
Yep.
Right? And that was the 1882. And then by 1885, the Congress of the United States had made the Exclusion Act, right? That kicked the Chinese Americans out. And from then on, every 20 years, something you mentioned, we goes back and forth, flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, as we go. What's wrong with this?
And fear.
Fear.
Fear. It's fear. Everything that this country has been taken back on and we've regressed in is because some politician has sold fear to the population. So when we go back and we look at the Exclusion Act, it was all built around fear. We look at the internment camps for the Japanese. It was built on fear. When we look at the Latino immigrant population, why do we want them out of this country? Fear. Why do we want to exclude Muslims from this country? Fear.
Fear.
Every time, it's always some kind of a fear point that we are willing to compromise what America truly stands for and say, we don't want you here. You're not one of us.
Okay, now, speaking of the fear, we have two kinds of fears. Say if some kind of outer space planet that will go hit Earth, that's a fear. That is a fear that we can do nothing about, right? So now, if I'm talking about me hurting myself, I'm afraid of me hurting myself. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Right.
It does because of just how the human psyche is. We, as humans, we fear the unknown. So I served 10 years in the U.S. Army, and in the California National Guard and Arizona National Guard, and it was a great 10 years. It's a little bit of relief to be out to a certain extent. It's like to, but at the same time, I got to go overseas to Afghanistan and meet with a lot of the individuals over there. So before I got there, I had all these preconceived notions on how their culture was and how I would be treated. So yes, there are some bad individuals that are over there.
Oh, there are bad individuals are everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay.
But overall, they were such an accepting people where they would literally give you the shirt off their back, the last food that they have. And it changed my perspective on how they are. They are literally just trying to live day to day.
You're right.
The same way that many Americans are just trying to live day to day, just trying to survive. So for individuals to hate someone, to hate a group of people without really ever getting to know them, it's mind-boggling, but it's understandable because people are ignorant. A lot of it is ignorance.
Ignorance.
It's complete and utter ignorance. But the school systems don't do a good job of educating, and it's not so much. I don't blame the teachers. So I want to be 100% clear on that. I don't blame the teaching staff. I don't blame the principals on how that is. But unfortunately, the education system is designed to teach. It's designed to teach to a test, because
the educational concept.
The educational concepts nationwide are teaching to a test. And if, Muslim relations or Hispanic relations and
You're
those
right,
are not,
right. I know
are not
what
in
you're
there,
talking about.
then they're not going to learn the actual history of that group of people.
You're talking about in our education system, they do not promote the universal love.
Yes.
Right?
Of
they
their fellow
pick
man.
on people.
Yes.
They pick on people.
Yes.
I like you, I love you because I like you.
And the winners, unfortunately, do write the history. So when you look at a lot of the kids in school, they go over slavery. It is just they quickly wash over it. If our kids don't know the mistakes that we made in our past, they are apt to repeat those same mistakes continually, over and over again.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that other countries do good.
It's a philosophy being carried by as long as human history.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you trip over a piece of rock, you're okay. If you trip over a piece of rock, same rock, for the second time, you're not okay.
Yes.
Why? Because you don't learn from history.
Yep.
Now, without learning from history, we probably want to trip ourselves for the third time.
Yes. The 100th time. We just keep doing it over and over again.
Okay. All right. My dear audience, my lovely audience, I believe that a very serious point has been made while talking with my dear friend, Sergeant Cotton. Sergeant Cotton has done his service for this country for 10 glorious years. Let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll continue probably after talking this many, checking this many aspects, we're talking about the Trump and the Trump administration, how we want to expect, right? So stay with us. Hello, dear folks. Welcome back to the East-West Show. Jack Chow, your host. With me today is my friend, Sergeant Cotton. Sergeant Philip Cotton is a service member servicing the United States for 10 years. Coming home, he picked up another glorious job. He is founder and the CEO of Youth Service Consulting Group, trying to help the needy people, namely the kids in school. They travel all across the country to help people in need. So with all these taken into perspective, we talk about the fear that we have as American of the United States.
Yes.
So we started to feel that we are not seeing the exact country that we dreamed for, and we fail to see that. Who failed us? The dream itself, or we ourselves, or the object itself? So we do not know. Somebody started to say, okay, now it's all because of Obama. And somebody say, hey, it's all because of Trump. So is it a Trump issue? Is it an Obama issue? Or is it not at all a president issue? Please.
I think part of it has to do with the presidents on just throughout history. So throughout history, to me, depending on the political party that was in there, there were always different paths that the country was being taken down. So yes, President Trump was voted into office. President Trump has a vastly different outlook on how he wants to take America than, in all honesty, the vast majority of Americans, and including myself. President Obama, I disagreed with President Obama on a lot of different issues. But overall, I respected him as a president because you can see that he was a well-educated individual who the majority of the things that he did was always in the best interest, in my opinion, of the nation and of the little guy.
Of the little guy.
Of the little guy. Of the guy who wanted a fighting chance. And when you look at President Trump, he's only been in for 5 months. So, we still have another a little bit over 3 years left, but 3.5 years left of President Obama. It seems more that the policies he's putting into place are not benefiting, or not going to benefit middle America, or not going to benefit the middle class or the lower class. So when we're looking at the education budget that's been proposed by President Trump and Betsy DeVos, we're looking at an over $10 billion cut to services and to funding for the schools in America. So for me, that doesn't seem like a way to help just the average American student, the average student out there, and it's going to further dilute our education system even more. So I don't feel that based on the current aspect of what the president is looking at for education, for the EPA, for just a lot of government programs overall that typically benefit the average American, his policies don't seem to align with helping the vast majority of Americans. So the right, in my opinion, has spent a long time demonizing President Obama, former President Obama. So it's created a far wider gap between the left and the right again. And even on the left, you had Hillary Clinton, who went through and called the right, anybody that voted for Trump, deplorables. Look, a lot of people that voted for Trump didn't vote for Trump because they were racist. They didn't vote for Trump because they hate America. They voted for Trump because they were sick of the political system. They were sick of politicians overall. So when you alienate a large swath of people by calling them all deplorable because you voted for Trump, you're once again just expanding that divide. And nobody's willing to just simply do this. You know what? I said something, and it was inappropriate, and I'm just going to go ahead and say, I want to get to know you more. And the right, same exact thing. They're not willing to come to the table and be able to say, you know what? I respect you enough to hear your opinion. The left, the left tells the right, I don't respect you enough to listen to your opinion. And if you have any opinion that's different than mine, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you a racist if you're on the right, or if you're on the right going to the left, I'm going to call you a snowflake. I'm going to say that you're that you're un-American. So I think what will fix America, or at least help America heal and get back on the right track, is people being willing to respect each other's opinion and not take somebody else's differing opinion as a personal attack against them. That's what I see as a big issue currently right now, which is why we kind of are in this what we're in right now.
That could be a mystifying, and till end of the day, it could be not that much so, because you're after all talking about rules of game.
Yes.
Right? So are you saying they are not playing by the rules?
I'm saying that the rules change all the time. And
okay, that's even worse.
It is. I mean, you have the Republicans that when when Republicans do specific things, it's okay. And when the Democrats do them, they call them out on it. But you have the same thing on the left. We just had President Trump return back from his trip, visiting a ton of countries overseas. So
5 countries. Yes.
Exactly. So you had the right that complained about Michelle Obama not wearing the traditional headscarf when she was visiting primarily Muslim countries, and they burned him at the stake, saying that you're disrespectful to their religion, disrespectful to the country. Now, Melania Trump does the same thing on the trip, and it's that she's being bold. So literally, when I say that the rules change all the time, they literally change all the time, and they move that goalpost.
You're right.
So nobody's willing to stop playing politics, because not playing politics doesn't sell, because people want to be right. Everybody wants to be right. So if either side, the left or the right, admit to, you know what, we made a mistake, they feel like they've lost face and they've lost ground. So until somebody's willing to put their pride aside and be able to say, you know what, I'm wrong, and the other side's willing to say, I'm wrong as well, and they can come to the table and legitimately respect each other's opinion, we're going to continue down the same path. And it's not a good path to go down, because it's only getting worse every year, every new president, every new campaign.
In other words, you're talking about uncertainty.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Change of the rules, or even the fear itself altogether means the uncertainty.
Yes.
Right? So with the uncertainty hanging on so much, 5 months already,
Yes.
ever since the day of inauguration, I mean, do you believe that Americans still have a choice, that we could express ourselves, that we could have our things done?
Yes. I think as Americans, it is our duty. It is our God-given right to go out there and to let your voice be heard. Because unfortunately, the country historically in recent history has been controlled by the extremes on both sides, and we have the silent majority. And what needs to happen is that silent majority needs to step up and get out there and let their voice be heard. Go out there and raise hell. And I don't care if you're on the right, if you're on the left, either way, let your voice be heard, because when you are sitting there on the side, you are letting whatever you don't like just happen. And it's absolutely crazy. Don't sit there and complain. If you're not willing to get up to get out there and let your voice be heard, then sit down and shut up.
And there is a name signing campaign for impeachment.
Yes.
You heard about that?
Yes, I have.
And your comment, please?
I think that if individuals that, based on the current evidence that's at hand, we don't have enough evidence to warrant an impeachment yet through Congress. But if there is grounds for it, I'm all for it. And that's just not just because it's President Trump. That would be for any president, period. If you violate the law and you violated the trust of Americans, and you don't have America's best interest at heart, you should not be leading this country. Now, I don't know if President Trump did do that or not yet. The investigation is still ongoing. But I'm willing to at least say that if the evidence that's been presented turns out to be factual, I think that it is up to the Congress to then make the determination if impeachment would be appropriate at that time.
All right, very good. And of course, with the investigation, that brings another topic or another subject. If you recall, before the inauguration, there was a moment talking about the investigation of Hillary Clinton due to her email handling, right?
Yes.
And he vowed the American people, say, hey, I'll conduct the investigation and will press charge on her, right? Shortly after taking office, there is no action at all.
Yes.
Right? Until there is action, and the action is firing his FBI director.
Yes.
Who was allegedly saying that they are doing his investigation. So your comment of the confusion, please?
So if you look at a lot of the recent news stories, it turns out that based on a lot of the speculation going on out there and a lot of the kind of hearsay going on, it looks like that the information that was put out by James Comey in regards to Hillary Clinton's email scandal, if you will, that some of that information was actually planted by the Russian government into our political system in order to create that distrust of the Democratic candidate. So fast forward to now and everything, we're looking at President Trump. Of course, he is a very good showman. He is very good at being a showman out there and getting people. He's an entertainer. I mean, he's been doing it the majority of his life. So a lot of the things that he was saying were very good on the campaign trail. But when he gets into office, I think a certain gravity hits him, where he's now saying, "I'm actually now president of the United States." And now a lot of those talking points that he was using in the past, they don't really hold any water. I don't think that he will ever do anything to Hillary Clinton. I think it was a great talking point at the time. I think the firing of James Comey was probably ill-advised and a bad timing to do that as well too. I don't know if it was to hide some of the things that could be going on, but now there's a special prosecutor out there who is going to be investigating everything to see if there was any collusion or connection with Trump or Trump's staff with the Russians.
Yeah, you're right.
And then now he's brought in his own legal counsel to have some protection against what could be some potential fallout. So, in 5.5 months, I look at it this way: if we had the same level of investigation and the same level of issues with a Democratic candidate, with President Obama, or with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton had an issue with email scandals and the fact that there is a bunch of things going on with Benghazi. Those are the two things, and a lot of it is people throwing slanderous comments back and forth on the Democratic side, toward the Democratic side. If these same issues, or even 1% of these issues, were on the Democratic side, impeachment would have happened already of that candidate. So the fact that the Republicans are in control right now and they haven't done this yet, it goes back to what we were speaking about earlier. Is they're moving that goalpost. They're changing the rules all the time to fit their narrative. But that happens the same on the left. Both sides will change the rules at any given time.
It's a dual standard.
All the time.
Or bystander or something like that.
Yes.
Anyway, we want to wait until something pops up. And I believe there's going to be something, either on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side. I know none of them are taking a risk. They are working on it. Yet, as regular, I mean, average Sues and average Joes, all we can do is watch.
Yes.
Keep our fear under control.
Stay informed. Stay informed by reliable sources.
Very good. And today, my appreciation goes to my audience, and also to go to Sergeant Cotton. Thank you very much for servicing the country.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Thank you very much for continued servicing. All right.
Thank
you. My dear audiences, we'll see you next time.